Education, Redefining the Future of Education. 议题一：智慧教育，重新定义的未来教育。Now I would like to hand it over to the moderator, Chairman Chang. 现在将时间交给主持人。
Thank you. 谢谢大家。Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Samuel K.C. Chang, Zhang Guangzhen. I'm the former president of, and currently is the chairman of the board of trustees of CYCU, Chongyuan Christian University, 中原大学. It's really my pleasure and honor to be here and to be the moderator of three very beautiful and capable ladies. I'm very, very nervous. You better try to calm me down. Okay. Today our topic for this session is smart education, redefining the future education. First of all, what is smart education? I think smart education emphasizes the use of technology to enhance the learning experience and outcomes. It aims to create a more efficient and effective learning environment by utilizing technologies such as artificial intelligence. I better sit down, okay? All right. And the Internet of Things to personalize learning, analyze student data, and provide feedback. Secondly, the future education. What is future education? It focuses on providing a more flexible, interdisciplinary, and cross-disciplinary curriculum that prepares students for a rapidly changing world. It aims to create a collaborative, student-centered learning environment that promotes creativity, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills, and many, many other areas on the list. But both smart education and future education are important and necessary for modern education system. It is important to strike a balance between the two approaches and integrate them effectively to create a comprehensive education system that best serves the needs of students, young and senior alike. I think, I can stop for a minute to
Yeah, sure, thank you.
welcome our distinguished.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's welcome the speaker of Taoyuan Council. 现在我们那个桃园市议会议长邱医生已经莅临我们现场，我们欢迎邱医生议长莅临。
Thank you. Okay. I have been working and serving in the education endeavor for more than 40 years. To me, the most important ingredient of education, I think it's core values. Both smart education and future education should be based on a strong set of core values. While the specific values may vary depending on the educational institution or system, some common core values in education includes equity and access. Education should be accessible to all regardless of their background, socio-economic status, or other factors that may impact their ability to learn. Quality. Education should be of high quality with a rigorous curriculum, qualified and dedicated teachers, and appreciate resources and facilities. Lifelong learning. Education should promote a love of learning and encourage students to continue to learn and grow throughout their lives. Innovation. Education should be innovative and adapt to changing needs and circumstances, using new technologies and teaching methods to improve learning outcomes. Social responsibility. Education should promote social responsibility and prepare students to become active and engaged citizens who contribute positively to society. By incorporating core values into smart education and future education, educational institutions should ensure that they are providing a holistic and well-rounded education that prepares students for success in a fast-changing world, while also promoting positive values and social responsibility. When we talk about smart education, future education, plus its holistic values, I think we often should look to the future, but not neglect the whole historic value of our culture. In my university, Chongyuan Christian University, we often remind our teachers and students the true meaning of university education. Let me show you one thing. 2,500 years ago, our Okay. What is great learning? 所谓大学之道 great learning. 2,500 years ago, our great teacher and philosopher Confucius, in his book of rites, 礼记里面, he said, 大学之道在明明德，在亲民，在止于至善。 The way of great learning consists in manifesting and displaying one's bright virtue, loving the people, and people being brought back to original purity. It does not stop until it is perfectly accomplished, or consists, or we can interpret another way, or consists in stopping in perfect goodness. This is 2,500 years ago. $2,500 years ago. Is this too old-fashioned? It is too out of date? So please, when we look to the future, never forget our historical value. Not just Chinese, any country, you should preserve, you should value your historical value. So this is my very simple remarks. And now, before I introduce our first speaker, I would like to give our speaker of our 我们的议长 to say a few words. Please, 邱议长. I have to be very proudly announced. He's the graduate of CYCU. And when I was the president about 10 years ago, I remembered his academic ranking was #1 in his class. We're very proud of him.
谢谢，非常感谢我们的校长。其实我在中原大学读书那几年我都没有机会看到我们的校长来跟我们这个授课。那今天谢谢我们今天的大会的主持我们大会的主席嘉桦主席在场我们所有国际职业妇女协会的各位美丽的姐姐妹妹以及在场的所有的贵宾大家午安，大家好。今天非常高兴同时也非常荣幸这个也非常意外，在这边看到我的校长。那今天最主要还是代表桃园市议会要来恭祝今天我们第3届的这个亚太这个论坛要来祝贺今天的论坛能够圆满成功。那今天的大会主席也是我们的理事长年轻有为，长得又非常的漂亮。那在这么年轻我记得在这个疫情的时候，他接任的这个理事长当时我特别跟郑文灿郑市长，还有我们的创会会长李秀莲李副总统特别也去跟他恭喜恭贺。那隔了1年他到议会来特别说明了这一次我们的亚太论坛，我们听到也非常的兴奋好不容易有这个机会让我们桃园市政府跟我们桃园市议会能够有这个机会来协助接触今天这个国际的一个论坛是我们桃园的一个荣耀也是我们的光荣我想刚刚市长也前来祝贺，刚刚离开因为今天也是我们议会还在开议的这个时间所以我来的比较晚一点，要把这个议会的议员的质询先主持完毕再来这边跟大家来问安，同时也谢谢大家一起来参加这个论坛再一次的代表议会来恭喜祝贺今天的论坛圆满成功同时也祝福我们所有的国际好朋友能够在这个兔年红兔大展事事顺心。谢谢大家，欢迎大家，谢谢。
谢谢议长。
Okay, we can continue. Let me introduce our first speaker of the first panelist today, Dr. Jenny Lynn Elmaco. Is currently the regional coordinator of EuraAccess Worldwide, an initiative of the European Commission to support researchers and scientific collaboration in the European research area. She's an awardee of the Innovative Leadership Diamond Award and Education Double Gold Award, wow, from the Global Women Inventors and Inventors Network UK in recognition for her efforts in inclusive education and scientific excellence beyond borders. Dr. Jenny Elmaco has a master's degree in peace, security, development, and international conflict transformation from the University of Innsbruck, Austria, and the Universidad, that's Spanish, how to say it?
Just Jaume.
Jaume,
Yes.
Jaume, thank you. With, and she has a second master's degree in global studies from the University of Vienna and the University of Leipzig. He holds the distinction from having earned her international doctorate in peace, conflict, and development studies from the Cátedra UNESCO Universidad. Thank you, you rescued me. She has an MBA, wow, from the EAE Business School in Madrid, Spain, with a specialization in big data and business intelligence, which she finished with honors. She has taught at the University at Munster, the Asian Institute of Management, and was a visiting professor at the Universidad Complutense in Madrid, in Royal Roads University in Canada. Right now, she's the regional coordinator of the European Research Action Service and University Fellow of Wesleyan University. Jenny, she's a native of the Philippines, graduated from Silliman University, the oldest American-founded institution on Asia, with a degree in political science in 2002. And she's really a most outstanding student. Ladies, gentlemen, I can go on and go on. She's an amazing lady. Let me present you Dr. Jenny Lynn Elmaco. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Professor Samuel, for that generous introduction. So it's fitting that we are talking about smart education, and I am just reminded of the quote that I always try to impart at the beginning of a speech. And it says, when you educate a man, you educate an individual. But when you educate a woman, you educate a generation. Of course, in honor of champions and allies like you, Professor Samuel, and the spattering of men inside the room, I want to quote as well from one of my favorite men, which is former General Colin Powell. And he said, if you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception, it is a prevailing attitude. And I love that quote because it brings us to where we are today. we are now at post-pandemic, and that pandemic, COVID-19, really shook us. It made us question reality. It also made us question our values. It made us question what is important to us, our non-negotiables. And after those tectonic shifts in our lives, in how we spend our day, how we shop, and how we value relationships, then we are here now, and we are left to ask, what's next? So allow me to leave you for a few seconds, Professor, while I go to my slides, so that you can concentrate on the slides and on me at the same time, if I can squeeze in here, and also use, oh my gosh, okay. So for those of us who are vertically challenged, this is not a very good way to go. But anyway, maybe I'll go in front of here. Maybe it's better. Better, no? Okay, you can see me? All right. Okay, so, oh, sorry. May I have this? Yeah, is it okay? No, it's fine. Yeah, no, don't worry. I don't want to. No, don't leave him. Don't leave him alone. Okay. The slides are not. Should I click somewhere? How did I make it? Where's the beam? It's there. All right. Maybe I should sit then. Sorry about this. Okay. So let's go to the first slide. What does it tell us? What happens in a minute? And this is the information that you get in a minute. You get 167 million TikTok videos. How many of you watch TikTok videos? Be honest, you are young, so, oh, come on, really? Again, I will ask again, maybe you're just a little shy. How many of you watch TikTok videos? Come on, okay, 30%. Gotta do better. Okay, 240,000 photos are shared, 44 million Facebook Live views, 12 million messages. That happens in a minute. So every minute you are bombarded with a lot of information, a lot of data, a lot of noise, right? And sifting through this noise and finding things that will add to your knowledge and add to your wisdom, that's also a very tricky thing. It's a complicated thing. That's why I was once told that we live in a VUCA world. VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So that is where we are today. So let me see if I can make it work. Nope. Next slide. Okay. Do you know this person? This is, her name is there actually. Mira Moratti. You can see I'm sorry, it's very small. This person is one of the chief drivers of what you call now as ChatGPT. How many of you have heard about ChatGPT? Yes. How many of you have used ChatGPT? Yes. Okay, at least 10% in the room. We will improve that, yes? So ChatGPT is an incredible, artificial intelligence, one of the many, by the way. I think that's just one of the most known right now, but there are a lot now. So we are at an age where, you have these artificial intelligence tools that you can put a prompt and say, write a paper on transformative education. And in seconds, it does it for you. But it shouldn't mean, that it takes over who you are. It takes over your creativity, or it takes over your lives. But that's a question, but that is also important for us to upskill ourselves, to inform ourselves. How do we live with this kind of technology? Because even the founder of ChatGPT says, I am afraid of this technology. And the reason why he is afraid of this technology is because it is also, of course, dependent upon who holds the technology. Professor Samuel was talking about access. And access is very important. Control is also very important. So when we have this artificial intelligence, when we all have these tools, for example, our phones, everybody here has a smartphone. The smartphone that we have now has almost the same computing power as those in the 1970s of NASA. And what did NASA scientists do with that kind of power? In the 1970s, of course, many of you were not born, but anyway, history. Man on the moon. What do we do with our supercomputing power? Take photos, maybe do Angry Birds or things like that. Keep in touch with people, yes. But there's a lot of power. That's what we're saying. But if you take a look at this, science has been in the realm, of women actually since way, way, way before. Because we are known to be healers, right? We are nurturers. So the picture on your left is one of the most, maybe the earliest scientists to be ever recorded, Merit Pitang, in Egypt. And she is known to be, of course, a scientist and a healer. The beautiful person on the right, do you know her? Hedy Lamarr. And she is known to be a very famous actress, very good actress, but she is also one of the pioneers of signal hopping technology. And why is that important? It's because of her technology, now we have Bluetooth, we have Wi-Fi and all those things. So we have been there, and of course you know this next person. This is Marie Curie and her family, right? You know her, of course. And Marie Curie, of course, has won 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 different categories, physics and chemistry. And let's bring that to a little bit this time, our time today. And this is a Filipino-American, who actually found a functional cure to AIDS just recently. So right now you see like a lot of these examples of women at the forefront of science, of technology, of mathematics, and also even of arts, because arts is also very important, as we progress forward. But here is our challenge. You can see that, and I hope you can read that quite well. There is, of course, women are at risk because of the lack of support. They are also at risk because they follow motherhood. And as you know, when you follow motherhood, and of course, you stop for a while, 1 year maternity leave. When you try to go back to maybe to the university or to the laboratories, then maybe you lost that momentum, or you found out that your research is already not there, or it's not, or you have to be out more times because of complications to your pregnancy. There's a lot of things. And of course, as your children grow older, then you have these multiple burdens of making sure that they are nurtured, you are available for them, of course, while also doing your career. You are also at risk due to the lack of career expectations. I remember one of the professors, I will not tell you, of course I will not share his name, but when I told him that I was doing my 3rd master's degree, my MBA, he was looking at me like, you're absolutely crazy. Why would you do that? And you will have a PhD in 2 degrees, why would you do that? And I looked at him and I said, why wouldn't I, right? I mean, things are changing and evolving. There are a lot of things that I don't know, and I just want to know more. Is that a crime? I said, no, but it's just not what a woman would do at your age, So you're constantly bombarded by these expectations and also a lack of expectations. The next one is also that we are at risk due to isolation and exclusion. So I know of several of those in the laboratories, they're just left to do their things, or maybe even secretaries, when they're always thought to be, oh, just leave her there. Don't include her in the conversation. Just leave her there. But can you imagine if you provide this space for women to give their voice, for women to occupy a seat at the table, or if there is no seat at the table, to bring a chair and give and amplify that voice for that woman, what kind of contributions she can bring. And we see here as well, there is a 40 to 70% chance of having sexual harassment or experiencing sexual harassment in the workplace. And that is a sad reality. Our keynote speaker was talking a lot about that. During the COVID pandemic, you also have what you call as the shadow pandemic. It's a shadow pandemic because it's not seen, but it was rampant, and that is gender-based violence. And this is an example. So there was a study that was made on 2 resumes, identical, right? They were identical, they were sent to human resources of different companies. The only difference was one of the resumes was named Jennifer, and the other resume was named John. And guess who was hired? John. Why? Because John was thought of to be, oh, he's excellent, he's a go-getter, he's he's really driven. While Jennifer was thought to be, oh, she's too ambitious, she's maybe she will be a problem, in the workplace. She's not really, she has a lot of experiences. It doesn't really seem that she has a focus. Can you imagine? And that's because of that. And sometimes we unfortunately deal with that in the workplace. But here is the scenario now. With women in the economy, there is a positive correlation between gender equality and a country's level of competitiveness. And this is not me talking, this is actually the World Economic Forum, so it's with data that has been proven. Women represent today's most powerful consumer group, making up a market whose growth potential is greater than that of China and India combined. So that is why the Boston Consulting Group has said that the most important commercial opportunity in our lifetime, women. Also, 21% more likely than other firms to report above average profitability. So supporting women in your businesses is not just because it is a good thing to do. It is good business. It is excellent business. Next is companies with 3 or more women on their executive committee scored higher on organizational health on average than companies with no women at this level. And there are more examples of that. And here is what happens when women are taking the lead. Women leaders are role models for other women. We like it when we bring each other up. Case in point, business and professional women, right? We have women add independent thinking to decision making to yield more innovative results. An increase in women has been linked to a group's effectiveness in solving difficult problems, and gender-inclusive leadership is associated with increased corporate social responsibility. And because of this, the United Nations has created the Women's Empowerment, Economic Empowerment Principles, so Women's Empowerment Principles, or WEP, which actually business and professional women has been working much on. And I hope that also Taiwan and the other affiliates will also work towards these goals, and encourage the business community, to bridge this gap, this gender gap. Next, of course, we see a lot of data on the empowerment of women and its results. So, unfortunately, there is still that space that we need to fix. So a while ago, there was a talk about breaking the glass ceilings. But it is important, before you break the glass ceilings, that you fix the leaky faucets, you mend the broken fences, you build ladders for women to climb on, and also at the same time, you clear the path of rubble, of self-doubt, of these potholes, of failures that women experience. So for us, we have to do that for the next generation. And then the next generation to also do that for the next generation. That's the best way to go, and the only way to go. And here you see some of your countries. And while there is maybe an improvement, right, there is also a pushback to women occupying leadership positions. So we have to remedy that as well. And I like this quote, sorry, there you go. I like this quote from, this is Miss Universe. I think the most important thing we should be teaching young girls today is leadership. It's something that has been lacking in young girls and women for a very long time, not because we don't want to, but because of what society has labeled women to be. I think we are the most powerful beings in the world, and we should be given every opportunity. Nothing is more important than taking up space in the society. And with this, because of this, we have done what we can. Like in the Philippines, this is a project together with business and professional women. This is funded by a Fulbright grant of the US State Department, and this is Girls Congress. So we chose, young women who have stepped up already, who have done like little projects in their communities, gather them together so that they empower each other. It's a mentoring and leadership initiative on multiple levels. One, it empowers, of course, young women, but two, it also empowers young women to propel development themselves, while at the same time, it also encourages different ages of women to also mentor these young women as well. So I love this quote. Be the woman who fixes another woman's crown without telling the world it was crooked. And that is essentially what we should do today. And how do we do that? First, believe that you are enough. Because sometimes self-doubt, it's this really big boulder that will stop you from reaching your fullest potential. I'll tell you my story. I come from the barrio. In the beginning, my childhood was composed of the 3 C's: coffee, chocolate, and carabao, or the water buffalo. So I would wake up with the smell of coffee, my grandma would give me hot chocolate, and then we would go to the farm riding a kalesa, or the water buffalo. That was my childhood, and I love that very much. In the Philippines, for example, I have a group of friends that keep me grounded until now. So even if I speak in international conferences, when I go home, they give me reality. You know what? Because sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need people to keep us grounded. So these people, they're the ones to keep me grounded. And because of this yearning to learn and to learn more, I was able to get scholarships. And this I want to share, especially to the young people in the room. I was able to get a scholarship to study in Japan in my undergraduate. And then most of my postgraduate, I did that on scholarship. My Ph.D., I did it with a grant, but I was also working fully, for the university. There are avenues for you. There are opportunities for you. And later on, if you would like to do that, please ask me. I love it when young people ask me, how did you get the scholarship? How do I get started? How do I write a proposal? How do I request for a recommendation letter? Ask me, okay? Ask me. The next thing is to listen, observe, reflect, learn, and keep learning. So even if you are 80, keep learning, okay? And I kept learning. After my PhD, there was an opportunity, an invitation from the State Department. This is the International Visitors Leaders Program, and it got me to meet different kinds of women from all over the world. And they, like BPW, have become my sisters. They are also my sounding board. And they are incredible women who are doing incredible things in different parts of the world. And of course, my love, BPW. BPW has created spaces for me, but the most important thing is these relationships. We talk about digital transformation. We talk about technology. This technology does not have feelings. It does not really have real connections. We have to influence, the artificial intelligence. We have to influence the tools so that we don't lose our humanity. We don't lose also our values at the same time. It's important, for example, to downgrade our ego and to upgrade our dreams. Downgrade ego, upgrade dreams, okay? And also think about the kind of leadership that we espouse. The kind of leadership is not anymore, I lead, you follow. The best leaders in the world, those leaders who say, I may not be the smartest person in the room, but I'll get the best person, to do the work together. And that is the kind of leader that we want. And then next is to ask, what is the problem? Provide the opportunity, better, stronger, and together. And here we have the robot revolution. You know that 1 in 3 jobs will be robo-replaced in 2025? So you have to ask yourselves, are you still competitive in 2025? That's only a couple of years away, right? So you have to upskill. There is what you call as technological singularity. I think our speaker will talk about that maybe later on. And this is the time, a point in time where the technology will surpass human capacities. So what happens then? How do you make sure that you're still relevant? And here, your smartphone is millions of times more powerful than Apollo's guidance computer. And the question is, and I've said this a while ago, what will you use your technology for? What will you use your tools for? And I believe everyone here is Wonder Woman. You know Wonder Woman, right? Of course. But not the mythical character, but a Wonder Woman that knows how to put their opportunities to the maximum. That is not only for themselves, but for the rest of humanity. Because the post-pandemic world, it's not just us. If there is one thing that the pandemic has told us, it is the importance of connections. It is the importance of networks. It is the importance of listening to each other and making sure that we are connecting to each other as well. I love them. Tardigrades. Have you heard about tardigrades? These are water bears. You know, the tardigrades, they can go up to 30 years without food or water. They can live at temperatures as cold as absolute zero or above boiling point. So they can survive in space and everything. I like to see our women of this post-pandemic as tardigrades. It can be very hot. It can sometimes also be very cold, like a while ago. And we will be faced with adversities, but we will survive. And we will survive with a smile in our face and with this determination to be the best we can be, not only for ourselves, but for the people around us as well. And here, I leave you with this. This is what I love, the North Stars. And I think in life, we have stars, the North Stars. And we also have North values, right? So we have to ask ourselves, who are our North Stars? Who are those people who guide us to the right direction? Who are those people who cheer for us, who are genuinely happy when we're succeeding, you know? And this is actually in this room already. Can you imagine the immense power you have because you are part of this community? These people, these women are your North Stars. And of course, this pattern of pen, sorry. So you have to remember that and find out what really is important in life. So of course, you have your cell phones, you have your computers. We connect in different ways. We like, share, and follow. But also be careful who you like, who you share, and who you follow. Because that is a reflection of the kind of future that you want to have. And lastly, I want to leave you with this, and I will read it for you. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So at the time of post-pandemic, of digital technology, don't forget that you are all stars. Thank you.
Thank you for wonderful presentation and very inspiring. Thank you. Okay, we will go to our next panelist. The lady is Jin Kai-yi. Professor Jin Kai-yi is professor from the Department of Data Science, Soochow University, 东吴大学 Teaching and Learning Center Director. Jing Kai, of course we Chinese know what does Jing means, but Jing, for your information, Qing is gold, very precious. And she has her Ph.D. from Fongjia 大学 in Information Engineering and Computer Science. Professor Cheng's research area interests including the areas of mobile ubiquitous learning, computer-supported learning, wearable technology, in which she has published more than 60 publications in internationally journals and conferences, more than 30 publications in Chinese seminars and conferences. Moreover, she received the annual Outstanding Teaching Performance Award from our Taiwanese Ministry of Education Teaching Practice Research Program in the year of 2022. That's a real honor. That's a real great achievement. Yeah. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Professor Jing Kai, please.
Thank you, Dr. Chang. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. And I'm very glad to have this opportunity to share my thought about education method with you. And I am Chen who work as a professor at Soochow University in Taiwan. Okay. So in my school, I usually teaching programming course for freshmen. So today I want to talk about how to use flipped classroom method and the project-based learning method to guiding programming course. I usually talk about this topic for teacher. Today is different, so I think it's good start for this today. So what is my problem and why I want to make this change for my class? In my class, I usually use lecture method to teach students to understand how to programming and to know the programming grammar and structure, like this picture. And then they will use their computer to practice the programming sample and practice in my classroom, like this picture. And then all students must be divided into several groups. And those groups need to finish their group project presentation and report at the end of the semester. So you can saw this picture is the sense in my classroom. But however, I found there are 3 problems in my class. Problem 1, I only have 3 hours of class time per week to teach students. So I don't have enough teaching time to complete my scheduled progress. Problem 2, students who are slow learners cannot keep up with my teaching progress. So I often have to repeat what I taught last time. Problem 3, some student group, they cannot finish their final project on time. So how to guide the student group to complete their final project report is an important issue for my class. So I think I need to explain those terms for you because I use 2 education methods into my class. First one, I use flipper classroom method to solving problem 2 and problem 1 and problem 2. In this method is stretch around the idea. The lecture teacher is not the best user of the classroom, class time. And it also suggests teacher need to provide teaching video before the class that student can self-learning and review at home. They can do these things after class. And moreover, students can engage in collaborative discussion and concept exploration in the classroom with teachers' guidance. So, by using this method, students can get learning information before the class, and they can have free class time to join some activity that involve high-order thinking. And secondly, I refer project-based learning method to my class to solving problem 3. This method encourages student learning by activity engaging in the real world and personally meaningful project. Therefore, students can divide the knowledge and the skills through engaging projects set around challenges they may face in the real world. So we can say this method is more than just doing a project. It's more close to learning by doing. Then, how do I achieve or implement the above idea? I will discussion this tool later, because I provide 3 learning tools for students, including teacher video for each unit and individual worksheet, group discussion sheet. The flipper classroom method leading me to produce video for students to finish their self-learning and review at home. And the project-based learning method leading me to design both worksheets. Both worksheets can guide the student to apply what they have learned to connect knowledge with the problem. So you can show this, you can see this picture. Here is a screenshot of my teaching video. I usually provide video, usually each video is recorded and edited in 10 to 12 minutes. So I will give this teaching video for my students. They can self-learning at home. And I also have 2 classes at the same time. So both classes use the same tool to finish their learning activity, but this only difference is the individual worksheet. One class I call control group. Those students use general worksheet. The other class I call experimental group. Those students use WSQ worksheet. This is different worksheet, but they all have teaching video and group discussion sheet in my class. This is the general worksheet for the control group. This worksheet includes true false question, multiple choice question, programming practice question. Those questions have standard answers, and students can leave their feedback in this part. So there are 2 examples of general worksheet completed by the control group student. And this is WSQ worksheet, and this worksheet includes 3 key pointer parts, naming watches, summary, questions. And I also use this picture to explain the concept of my WSQ worksheet. Watch means students watch the teaching video and take notice in their learning, in their study guide. And the summary means students are required to write a summary of what they learned at the end of the video. Question means students are required to ask or decide a question after watching the video. So they need to do this work in sorry, I feel a little bit nervous. so they need to finish this worksheet at home. So this is those pictures show the WSQ worksheet complete by the experimental student. You can see those pictures. You can see this picture. Those students spend a lot of time to write extra information by using stick note or provide extra QR code link for me in the summary part. So they spend a lot of time to self-learning. So this is good things. I think for teachers it's good things. And I also design this group discussion sheet for my students. This sheet will provide several topics for students to finish their discussion task. And students must be write down the resource of their discussion in this part. Usually this topic will leading students to think about working on their final project. So those pictures you can saw those pictures. Students open my discussion sheet. And they open discussion and follow the topic to write down their discussion resource in this part. And they will discuss each other and maybe use live message to teach each other. And then, when they finish their discussion work, some group will be asked by me to share their resource real time. So you can saw those pictures. And I also use this picture to discuss my teaching progress. I usually use 3 weeks to finish the learning activity of each unit. During the first 2 weeks, students need to watch the teaching video and finish their individual worksheet at home. In the classroom, I will lead students to experiential concept knowledge and ask them to complete individual worksheet, individual assignment. And in the 3rd week, I will lead students to undertake collaborative discussion and they ask them to finish group discussion sheet and share their resource. So, finally, at the end of the semester, all student groups need to undertake group project presentation and show their project resource by use Python programming. So this is teachers show their resource online because we met COVID-19, so I asked them to show these use things to show their resource for me. Next, because I do a lot of work for them, so I want to know how well those students are learning. So I use statistical analysis to look at their learning outcome. I do some analysis. First of all, I compare the results of student pre-test and post-test to look at the student learning outcome. And this table shows those students in experiential group, they had a better performance than those in control group. This means the different type of worksheet, individual worksheet, can affect student learning performance about programming knowledge. Secondly, I also use the score of the group project presentation to look at the student group learning performance. This paper shows no significant difference between So this means the different type of individual worksheet cannot affect the student group learning performance. However, I found that student group, both group, perform better at complete their final project. Thirdly, I use Keller's learning motivation questionnaire. This is my reference. I use his questionnaire to look at student learning motivation feeling in their learning process. So this table shows that the satisfaction factor in the experimental group student has a better performance than the control group. I also collect feedback from both groups, and I found control group mainly focused on teaching video, while experimental group mainly focused on individual worksheet. I think this may be the reason why the experimental group student has a better performance, especially in satisfaction factor. And both groups show they enjoy group discussion activity with discussion sheet. Both groups all enjoying this discussion task for them. Maybe I share too fast. Yeah, so in conclusion, I don't have used too much technology in my class because I think technology for me, if I want to push this method to another teacher, use too much technology, maybe for them it's too difficult. So I use simple, maybe design some worksheet method to push them to do some change. So in conclusion, I will suggest that if you want to use flipped classroom method or project-based learning method into your education work, teaching video of each unit must be matched with individual worksheet, which student which can guide the student to do more self-learning and review work at home. Secondly, student group discussion must be accompanied by discussion sheet, which can help students to focus on learning point, stimulate their thinking and learning from each other. Lastly, try to flip a little change into your maybe education work or course, which maybe can spark student interest in learning. Because for me, this is very work for me. So thank you. Too fast. Thank you for your lesson. This is my presentation at the end of my presentation. I hope you all enjoy my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Professor Chang's wonderful presentation. Thank you. Okay, now we come to the third panelist. Trista Chang, Chen Pei-Jun. Trista is currently the director of the AI Research Center at Microsoft in Taipei, with research interest in computer vision, CV, health AI, mixed reality, and human-centered AI. In addition to actively publishing 30 more papers and 110 more patents issued and pending. Wow. She won the World Championship in USAID Intelligent Forecasting Competition. That's a real great achievement. Thank you. Previously, Trista held top executive and researcher positions at multinational corporations such as Inventec, Intel, and NVIDIA, and led 2 startups from incubation to acquisition. At Intel, Trista and the team developed the world's most widely adopted CV software, OpenCV, which was downloaded 18 million times as of 2021. Amazing, wow. And NVIDIA, she architected NVIDIA's first video processors. Trista received her Ph.D. from Carnegie Mellon University and MS and BS from National Tsinghua University, 在新竹的清华 University. Trista, for your information, my father, okay, graduated from Tsinghua University, of course, in mainland. You know what year? 1914. That's 110 years ago.
Oh my God, we are all connected.
Tsinghua University. Okay, let's, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Dr. Trista Chen, Chen Peijun Boss.
Thank you, Professor Chang. When I got invitation to this forum, I was super excited, and I say yes right away. Do you know why? Being a mother, okay, education is core of me. In addition, being a PBW, professional businesswoman, this is also very important to me. And why is this two connected to education and post-pandemic? Being a PBW and a mother, I keep my child in a happy place in Hualien. For those of you who live in Taiwan, Hualien is a very beautiful and happy place. I encourage you to visit. I keep her there to study and to live in this beautiful nature. But at the same time, I work in Taipei. So actually, in order to live in Hualien and work in Taipei, I commute by airplane every day. So I accumulate more than 200 boarding pass in a year for the past few years. It's not easy for like commuting, but at the same time, it's also rewarding that I can accomplish my work and also I can nurture my child in a very beautiful environment. But this pandemic is killing me because the flight is like suspended. I can't fly to Taipei to work. So that was very painful for me. So therefore, post-pandemic education is really, really touching my heart. So I say yes right away when I get the invitations. I really, really have to share with you. So, I'm gonna talk about AI, which is where I'm working right now as a catalyst for post-pandemic education. So I'm sure, actually many of you have already tried ChatGPT. So for example, you go to their portal and you type something. Can you make a point about education forum? And sure enough, it gives you the point, beautiful point, and all that, right? And this is a category or one of the technology called ChatGPT that's part of generative AI, meaning AI can generate content just like what human can do. So this is an example of text generation. And this is like hitting the whole world by a storm. To achieve 1 million users, it takes nearly 5 days. It took Netflix 3.5 years to achieve 1 million users. But then ChatGPT only required 5 days to achieve 1 million users. So when we talk about fast changing world, education and all that, this is the reality. From 3.5 years to 5 days. This is how fast the world is moving right now. It's really, really amazing. In addition to text, we also see that Microsoft, especially because we exclusively adopt OpenAI's technology, including ChatGPT, into our products. For example, we include that in our Office 365 product family, in Word, in Excel, in PowerPoint, all that. You can all use in the future, soon enough, you can use generative technology into your generation contents. In addition to the Office content generation, there's also coding. So some of you say that, hey, future is technology, everybody has to learn how to code. But at the same time, AI can write code for you. So the common language to code is actually English. Okay, so English. By describing in the description parts of list of expenses and returns and all that, it can write Python code, can write C++ code, and all that for you. So English now is your common language to code for the computers. And as you might have already guessed, in the beginning, the picture of the deer cat doing experiment in the classroom, that's actually AI generated. So there's a little hint on the left-hand side, there's a B there. It stands for Bing. Bing is the search engine of Microsoft. So you can just simply type bing.com create, you can generate for free, all the images that you describe to this, this creation engine. Okay, so it seems to be able to do a lot of different things, from text, from chat, from pictures, from office documents, from emails, from everything. So what exactly is something called generative AI? Okay, I'm gonna link that to something that you can understand immediately. So when you go to OpenAI, which is the creator of ChatGPT, you try to search for how is ChatGPT done. You see these complicated figures of step 1, you want this like training data, you want to label it and all that. Step 2, you're trying to train this like reward functions, and then step 3, you had this like reinforcement learning and all that. Like, oh my God, this is so like headaching. Okay, being an educator, most of us know that what does a child like? What do they like? They like to what? Watch TV, right? What other thing do they like? They like to play video games, all right? So AI is actually these two things. Simple enough, why is that? Watching TV is basically trying to absorb or accept the information that you are given. So that's called supervised learning. So the content from the TV is being edited, supervised, and delivered to you. That's called supervised learning. And by playing computer games, it's actually challenging you, giving you this reward, and you have to like kill these enemies and all that. That's called reinforcement learning. When you win this game, you get some reward, you feel happy. So AI is basically these two things, supervised learning and reinforcement learning. So you guys are all now like AI experts right now. Congratulations. All right. So this is actually a natural progression of human or actually information development. So over the past, especially the past 10 years, since the onset of World Wide Web, humans start to generate or actually digitize more and more data. So let me give you an idea about what is this recent GPT-3 or GPT-4, how big is the information that it collected and trained. So roughly speaking, a paragraph of text documents is around 1,000 bytes. And if you talk about a novel, it's about a megabytes. So you heard about this crazy number like GPT-3 had 175 billion parameters. You had no idea what that means. It roughly means you have to read 1 million novels in order to get that many parameters. And where does that model come from? It comes from this gigantic World Wide Web data, which is roughly, sorry for the screen, is about 100 zettabyte of data, which is 10 to the power of 21. Roughly that amount of data fit into the GPT engine, and then it kind of condensed to this 175 billion parameters in order to serve you in terms of chat, in terms of that. So you might wonder, all right, so that's pretty much like JPEG, right? So sure enough, if you read some New York Times article, they say that, hey, GPT-3 or 5 or 4 or whatever is actually nothing special about compression.
of information of human history. But that's actually more than that. So if you read the most recent GPT-4, which is the most recent GPT models, the published technical report from OpenAI, it says that it's not only compressing information, but also show a lot of capabilities. So this figure, you don't have to read the detail, but on the left-hand side, it tells you that it can already compete with human, or actually pass a lot of human tests, like in different fields, like calculus, like medical exams, like legal bar exams, and biology tests, AP tests, and all that. It can pass a lot of different tests in a high bar, not just merely pass. It passed all this subject in a high bar. So I drew this red line right there. Is about, it can show the capability of roughly 80%, meaning roughly it can answer correctly 80% of the time. All right. So you say, hey, this is still nothing. It's just very good at like testing, taking those tests, right? It cannot do anything creative. It cannot do anything impromptu, right? So that's not the case. So on the left-hand side, usually when you talk to ChatGPT or something, you give it something, some input, we call it prompt. So this prompt that you give to the engine is, can you draw something like a unicorn in a special lattice language called TIX? And sure enough, this engine drew you a unicorn. But that's not the end of the story. So the second part of the story is that the experiment staff try to mess around with this unicorn, try to pull the tail off, try to move the leg around. You can see that on the right-hand side. This unicorn is not a unicorn anymore. Try to move all these different body parts aside to different parts and see and ask the GPT, hey, can you assemble this GPT back and make it into a unicorn again? It can. Even though it never see a messed up unicorn before, it knows how to put it back. Okay, it knows how to put it back. And even more, you might heard that all these AI are just correlations, not causality. It doesn't know what is the cause. It doesn't know what is the consequence. It only knows those two things happen at the same time, called correlation. But then we tested using a medical problem setting and asked, hey, if there's some symptom associated with this patient, can you reason why is this patient get such a diagnosis? It can. So it can reason, it can do causality, it knows the cause and consequences of what happened for such diagnosis. And even more so, you know that GPT is not almighty, right? Because it was trained with data until 2021. But then if you tell GPT, hey, you can use tools, meaning you can leverage other things to accomplish even more. If you tell it, hey, you can use search engine to search for more recent data that's beyond what you are trained for. You can search the World Wide Web, use the keyword search, use the tool called search, and at the same time, you can use calculators. If you don't know how to do calculation very precisely, then you can leverage those tools and do a precise job on searching for the more recent information as well as leverage the calculators. So you might think, oh my God, are we in this era of the so-called AGI, Artificial General Intelligence? So honestly, I don't have the answer yet. So let's go back to the idea about DIKW, they call data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So we might be able to draw some idea from there. So in the birth of internet, so usually people just start to put a lot of data into the web. So it's like a crumb of data, like on the data like scattered everywhere. And when Google or Yahoo come out, they had a very clever way to search for the data by knowing the relationship with them. They call it like infograph search, or even in the Facebook time, it's basically building a relationship between different people. So they are like graph. So that's what I call information. And right now we are in this ChatGPT moment with generative AI. You can try to link those information together and try to make sense out of it. So that's why I call knowledge. But is it intelligence yet? We don't know. So like many of the previous presenters has mentioned about, when we had question, we had question to the future, then we look into the past. And this time around, I'm gonna look to to the past, like long time ago, millions of years ago. So intelligence is something very specific to human we call Homo sapien. So Homo sapien is actually a Latin word. It means intelligent human. Okay, intelligent human species. Okay, so let's look into what does it mean by having intelligence. What does it mean by being a Homo sapien? So there are at least 3 very distinct qualities of intelligent human or Homo sapien. So it's not because humans are better at using tools, because monkeys can use tools. It's not because the humans work together, ants work together. It's because humans are curious. Humans are creative. So this is an ancient artifact that is about having I believe it's a lion man. So lion man basically had a lion head and a human body. So only human had this curiosity to do what if. What if I change the head of a human head into a lion head so that this become ours? So curiosity is one of the feature of intelligent human, Homo sapien. And the second is collaboration. So this is also an ancient artifact found in Indonesian island. So basically, sorry for the contrast of this screen. It's basically a lot of human hands, the human handprints on the wall. So we don't know what that means right now because it was too long ago. It's about 38,000 BC, around that time. So it only means that there might be a lot of people together doing something. Okay. So being together and collaborative is also a trait of intelligent human. Second trait, what I call. And the third one is something we like to be very happy or proud of ourselves. We are human, we have free will. We empathize other, not just human beings, but also other creatures. So in this new technology moment that everything moves so fast, I think empathy or free will or love is especially important. That I would call that would be our North Star for human beings. Okay, so coming back to our main thesis of this conference, what can all this like AI technology do for us, especially education? So, like I said earlier, in the report, it says that the current GPT-like generative AI can already do a lot of tasks very, very well. But we all know that human is not about doing things well, or we become tools. Okay, so the first thing will be, as an educator, should we changing our benchmarking or our test criteria into, for example, changing the passing score to be like 80 rather than 60 right now? Because if you do nothing, just ask GPT to answer for you, you already get 80, right? So might as well just changing the passing score to 80. But then as the technology progress, should we move it like higher and higher to be like 85, 90 and all that? Not sure about that. And second thing is homework still necessary? Okay, this is kind of like a interesting example that somebody kind of connect GPT and 3D printer together so that it can answer the question not just in a digital way but also in a physical way. So I talked to some of my professor friend or teacher friend. They are like, maybe from now on we shouldn't give him homework anymore. We just like invite the students to the classroom and give them oral exams because there's no way you can fake by having an oral exam. And also you can see that AI is very good at collecting data, make sense of it, like summarizing and getting insight from it. Maybe we can just use GPT as a teacher. It can even be personalized, right? You can kind of personalize to the subject, to your background, to what you know before and all that. Should we do that, right? So this is also related to post-pandemic. As I mentioned, like post-pandemic is especially hard, not just based on my own experience, but very, very hard for people around the world. Everybody is locked down and all that. Can we still have a social experience, a human experience, even though we are all locked down inside our room? Okay, so this is one of our effort in trying to educate both fun, interactive, and human touch. So maybe many of you know already Minecraft. Minecraft is a game that kids like, and a lot of parents, they are not so against Minecraft because it's kind of educational. But even more so, we had an edition called Education Edition of Minecraft, where you can teach coding. So maybe for Professor Chen, this might be useful for your class too, because you can actually use this as an environment and then give tasks to student here. Like for example, in this example, you want student to start to drop red flowers, and then how can you write a code to drop red flowers whenever you pass something, right? So, and this is for a smaller kid, that's why it's like a block-based, not Python-based example. And then, hey, one prayer when you start walking, then place the flower into where you walk, and all that's kind of cute. You can join this collaboratively, allow people from all over the world to join the same environment so you can achieve the human touch and all that. So again, for all this experiment, it's not just for feeling good, we're trying to benchmark how good that is. So we actually did a study with, I believe is Queensland University, and the report, to give a summarize before and after using Minecraft for education, the score, that's the 1 to 5 is actually the distribution of the math score. So before, it was mostly focusing on about 4, but after using the education, it's already concentrated at 5. So you can see that the effectiveness of this method is actually great. And of course, the perception or the engagement with students and teachers is also much better. So in addition to using the game to help people to collaborate in the post-pandemic era, we also want to talk more about the GPT thing. So GPT thing, rather than blocking it from the university, from the schools, I think a better way to do that would be using that in a more creative way. So as I mentioned in the very beginning, that GPT already integrates with a lot of the content generation tools like Office 365, so that can help the teacher to prepare their lecture contents more effectively. That could help the teacher, not just that, but also help them grade more effectively. So the AI can help you to do the grading, so you don't have to use your hand to grade all these 100 different students' sheets manually. And you can design based on the student specialty, and you can measure using this readily available AI tools to measure the performance of your students. And by doing this iteratively, this is like an agile or a design principle-based method that use AI as a technology to enhance your, personalize your living method. And there are some more creative way to do this. In addition to open book or open GPT for people to use the tool to answer the question, you can actually pre-fill your exam sheet with answers from ChatGPT. And then you ask the students to pick the error of the answer of ChatGPT. Right? We all know that the answer from AI is not perfect, and if the students are good enough and they can understand the content of the class good enough, they can pick out what's wrong in there, right? So that's one creative way to do that. And I'm not going to go into the detail about how to do this, but the gist of it is rather than trying to stop the revolution and then try to hide in the cave, we should embrace it, not naively, but also creatively. Try to embrace the part that can enhance your education experience, can empower your student, can empower the learning experience, rather than stop it or reject it altogether. And last but not least, I want to say that even though a lot of good things is happening with AI, with all this post-pandemic technology, but there's still some caveat in there. So according to a study, the middle and low and middle income countries, when it comes to post-pandemic education, actually there are more students that fall into this, they call it living deprived situation. So before, about half of out of the 100 students, about half of them, roughly 50 something of them are in this learning deprived situation. But after post-pandemic, there are 10% more that fall into this learning deprived situation. Why is that? You can probably guess, because of the digital divide. So this is in Chinese. This is also very touching my heart. So I also noticed that this kind of situation personally. So some people, through some friends' channel, I learned that from some of the school, they are not so well funded. Because of the pandemic, they have to be at home, and in order to go to the digital class, they have to either use their laptop or their iPad or tablet, but they don't have it. And sure, the government are trying their best to provide the infrastructure for them to learn. But personally, I donate some of the device to the school, and then I didn't expect this car to come back to me. And when I get this car, I just cry. So what they say in the last paragraph is that, thank you for giving us this gift. I'm really grateful for that, and I will keep this until, this is a middle school student, I'll keep this until high school, until college, like until forever. It just makes you cry. I mean, yeah, they are so truthful and so naive. iPad is not going to last that long, you know. But still, it's just very touching. And this is my ending slide. So AI, if you pronounce it together, is I. So for those of you from Taiwan and who knows Chinese, I is what? Love. So AI needs love. And that's the true meaning of adopting AI. With love, that's true AI, or it's just a tool. Thank you very much.
Very interesting and inspiring presentation. Thank you, Trista. Okay, thank you. Now we have some time for questions, and we will. Okay, let's please go ahead. We'll open the.
I want to talk about ChatGPT because I have chat with Dr. Chen. I teaching the student how to use Python to develop a layer project. And this semester, my student asked me, teacher, can we use ChatGPT to join your test or finish your assignment? I said, okay, so usually before the ChatGPT, they need to spend maybe 60 to 90 to finish their test. But when they use ChatGPT, they spend 20 minutes to finish my test and get very good score. So I think this is the future technology to teach a student how to use ChatGPT. Thank you.
I'll take a slightly, not completely contrary, but maybe like a cautionary tale when it comes to ChatGPT, but also AI in general. With ChatGPT, if you've already used it, but for those who haven't used it, it's dependent on the data that you feed into the system. And so when you ask it something, it depends on what is being fed, right? So if you are missing in the beginning, meaning to say if you do not have, you are not part of the process. If, for example, women or marginalized people are not part of the process, then you are missing in ChatGPT. And that expands to artificial intelligence, the other tools. Where several of us, President Catherine and VP Toiting, we were, and also Chair Narudi, we were in the UN Commission on the Status of Women meetings, and the focus was on digital transformation, which is exactly where we are now. There was one session, which really, for me, one of the most important sessions, apart from our sessions, of course, which is called the coded gaze. the coded gaze. And this session is the term coded gaze was coined because it seems that facial recognition software is not as effective or is not as efficient if it's with people people of color, if it's not Caucasian, natural Caucasian people. And there's studies that, why is that important? Well, it's not accurate when you try to apply for a job or when you are maybe profiled, unfortunately, because you are missing, from the technology. So that is why it's important. Yes, we embrace this wholeheartedly. This is our present. This is our reality. But we have to make sure that we are part of the conversation, that we are part of the creation. We have to be there, because otherwise these tools will perpetuate inequity, gender inequality, and it will be pushing back, the gains already of empowerment, especially when we talk about women, of course.
Very good point. Yes. Please.
对不起，我讲中文。大家好，我是来自大台南的淑敏哈。那个，我想问一下，在座各位有多少人知道麦块？知道陈贝君教授的麦块？没有。我告诉你，我因为送了一块麦块的奖品给我的侄子，我不晓得麦块在你的使用上是这么好，可是所有的家长都不知道。 所有的家长都在劝阻孩子玩麦块，你知道吗？然后就造成他们父子关，我弟弟他们父子关系，所以我很想问，如何更大的推广这样的知识给所有我们这些老一辈的家人？谢谢。
Okay. All right. Before joining Microsoft, I didn't know Minecraft is part of Microsoft too. I think similar to Minecraft, I think technology in general, I think it's regardless of it's so-called good or bad, trying to understand that, so you know what's the pros and cons, what's the weakness and strengths before you actually adopt it. I wouldn't say embrace it, but adopt it. So similar to AI, to echo on the responsible AI aspect of technology, there are a lot of biases. Not just in training, but also in the methodologies, in enabling these technologies. So being a woman or being a mother, it's a privilege. But at the same time, we need to take that and then try to educate ourselves on the unknowns, both on the games like Minecraft, also on the technology, so that we know how can we broaden our influence or impact into those new fields, so that it can in turn make us, give us a positive feedback, not just on ourselves, but also on our family, our education, and all that. So I think that would be the general comment I have for unknowns. And yeah, thank you.
Hi, Oma. Yes, please.
我是台湾国际职业妇女协会的前总会长董美女。那我想要请教的就是刚刚在讲说，像 ChatGPT， 它其实就是一个大数据，大家喂给它什么，那它非常的聪明，去不断的去创造出来。那现在这里其实就会牵涉到所谓的城乡落差、性别落差，甚至种族的落差。所以呢，那些就是弱势的群体。 他没有机会，或是他也没有能力去为他的这些的知识，所以呢 ，ChatGPT 呢，它就会这方面的就会非常弱。就像说刚开始的时候，对于台湾的这些，你问他说台湾的旅游景点，他回答的都是非常可笑的。但是呢，一盛行起来，大家开始问他资料之后，他就可以一直回答出来。所以在这里怎么样去克服，就是说对于这些的弱势的群体，尤其是。 一个是年龄的差距，一个是性别的差距，一个是城乡的差距等等。 那这些的差距，第一个您刚刚提到说，当你的孩子要用这个的时候，你自己先了解。问题是我们自己都没办法跟上，你说等我跟上之后，让孩子去学已经来不及了。所以在这里怎么样，就是说克服这些的不同的差距，因为否则的话，那个越拉越大。那就像说，好，我是法律人，很多人说律师即将被取代了，法官也即将被取代了。那这里其实牵涉到了，就像说，好，在这个性别的议题的，尤其像说对家事的事件的判决，很多人说将来判决可能就 GPT 就是 AI 就取代了法官的判决。那这里一个可怕的现象就是说，在婚姻的案子里面所累积的都是过去非常男女不平等的这些的资讯，它所累积出来的大数据的判决的结果会是很可怕的，那就会让我们后来的这些的努力都是空的，因为你后来的数据是少的，前面的是大量的这些的全部都是歧视的。那我不太知道说在科技上如何去克服这些的问题，谢谢。
这个问题非常的有 insight，我先用中文回答好了，我可能可以用英文很快的再解释一次，其实技术，尤其是 AI 的技术，大家会常听到一个字叫做 training， 就是训练。那训练这件事情，你会觉得说，哦，是大数据用已有的数据去训练，所以其实 AI 有两件事情要注意，一个就是说你的 AI 模型是要，我讲英文好了 ，Is your AI model gonna reflect what is status quo, or you want your AI system to represent the future that you want to be? Okay, that's a very, very good distinction. So, do you want it to reflect status quo right now, or do you want it to reflect the future or the ideal future you want it to be? This is very important distinction. And what we are doing right now, at least in my group, we are trying to do the later. So meaning that yes, there are biases, there are inequalities in your data of what the world that you are trying to present, but at the same time, we had the responsible AI effort. So in technology terms, it's called reinforcement learning human feedback, RLHF. There are technologies that you can do to gear your model to do what you want it to be. So there's a value in there. So that's why it's very important that the AI tool does not fall into the wrong hands, so that we can have our value that is more appropriate to impose on the model that you want it to represent, you want the model to achieve. So this is very, very important. So that's why a lot of people say, hey, AI, in one of the slides show that AI is, some people say AI is just a JPEG, it's a compression of the data that you have. No, that's not right. It's a compression first, and we impose the value by some means so that we can guide the model to do what you want to do. So that's why, honestly, in my personal opinion, I think some sort of oversee is necessary. Not necessary from the government, but from everybody. Institutions and like a social group like us, we need to actually put our values and then try to influence the holder of AI system to impose those values into the system. And of course, the value is different. To be honest, is what's good considered good in Taiwan may not be considered good in a different country. So that's actually true, and not just country, but also in different groups like female, male. Some people think you should take out the garbage. Some people think you shouldn't, something like that. But anyway, so the value should be able to impose into the system and should be tunable. So what's scary about some of the ideal thought or the utopang kind of thought is that you can think that there's only one good value, and that's very, very dangerous. So in addition to the value thing, there's also transparency and controllable. So that's also what my group is trying to work on. We try to make not only the model being transparent, but also controllable, so that we can put our values into the system. So this is very important. And yes, we don't want what you just said happen. We don't want the status quo to keep status quo. We want to progress to be a better future. Yes, thank you.
I think what you're saying is very important. I suggest in the short version is you answer this in Mandarin. 尽量简单一点，因为我怕因为要解释。
OK，我尽量讲简短。我中文会讲一点，英文讲到后来就两个都讲不好，这样，哎，真的。用 中文讲就是说，其实我刚才有秀一个图哈，就是说其实 AI 它不是大数据的这个叫做压缩，它不是。所谓压缩就是说你有什么就把它压缩成什么，一张图是怎么样就把它压缩，看起来是差不多，它只是资讯量变比较小而已。其实压缩这件事情就叫做现状。其实 AI 系统代表的不只是现状，它还代表着我们想要到达的未来，它还有价值在里面。所以呢，说实在，网络上的东西你收起来都是乱七八糟，可能还有一些什么暴力、色情的，有的没有的。可是你去问，不论是 ChatGPT 或是微软自己的 Bing Chat， 你得不到那些什么色情、暴力的结果，因为它是简单来讲是被滤过的。所以在开发 AI 的时候，其实我们会很努力的，在让那个模型它可以 pre-train 之后，也就是先训练、预训练之后，我们再把人类的价值用特殊的方法，我们叫做 RHF 或者其他的方法，可以让它引导到我们想要的方向。那刚才您提到说的这个，不论是 face recognition，其实我们就尽量在收更精致的、更 high quality 的不同的种族、不同的人种，然后的资料，让这个 face recognition 可以尽量的 fair。像是international standard， 像 ISO 或者 NIST， 他们也有这样的 effort， 就说什么才叫做公平。那另外一个地方就是说，驾驶这个东西其实没有普世的价值 ，to be honest。那如果没有普世的价值的话，我们怎么样去教 AI 的系统能够做到我们想要做的事情？其实 AI 系统必须要能够两件事情：透明，透明才知道说为什么它会告诉你回答这个话，然后再来就是控制，你怎么样去控制这个 AI 的系统？那控制的话，其实就是我讲的演算法，你怎么样用演算法去让它能够做到你想要给它的价值。那这两件事情，不论是 transparent 或是控制，其实都是 work in progress。可是 we are very conscious， 我们是很认真，或是我们是有意识的去在做这件事情。那身为公民团体，或是身为NGO， 或是身为国家，其实大家都有责任去做这件事情，因为没有一个 entity 他们是有足够的能力去做这件事情的。比如说国家可能在 policy 很好，可他可能对这个知识或是这个技术不是很懂。那技术的地方或是公司，他们可能有这个赚钱的压力，所以这个可能不同的角力。所以我觉得以后的世界是希望大家一起努力，就是不是说这个政治跟我没关系，或是这个 AI 跟我没关系。其实到后来每件事情都会跟你有关系，因为它都会影响到你。所以我们身为公民团体，身为母亲，身为这个NGO 的成员，我们都必须要 consciously 去努力做这件事情。谢谢。
I think it's very important to exist in this space, and that's one thing that everybody here, have to work together in. So what I mean by that is, as I said, ChatGPT and all the others, there's a lot. It's not that ChatGPT, you even have Synthesia now, which I use actually, where you can create, like an avatar, and then you can feed information into it. It can speak for you, So there's a lot of things, but I think it's important for us to be able to have a voice and to be present there. So you have to feed it information. So if it doesn't know that much about Taiwan, you have to make sure that Taiwan exists in cyberspace and in the information, in the big data. It has to be there. So if there is still things missing, maybe in the rural areas, then it has to exist there so that it can be used, for a better way. The question on lawyers, in the list of something that a profession that would be replaced. I think we have to make a distinction between AI being able to act as a lawyer and an AI that would be effective as a lawyer. Because for me, my late father was a lawyer. He was a judge. Unfortunately, we lost him because of COVID. And but for him, I think one of the strengths of being a lawyer is your compassion. Right? This nuanced understanding of what your client needs, that is missing in AI. You can put a lot of data and a lot of how you can code it to how to feel and how to assess, but as humans, I think that cannot be replaced. And I think that is something that we have to build together. The third one is we have to make sure, and this is a challenge of course to Microsoft, and we've had discussions with UNESCO, is that there has to be ethics in AI. It's a question of where do you draw the line, right? What is enough? Because even the creators have their fears about this. It has a lot of potential, but we have to also take maybe a step back, maybe outside looking in and see where do we really want this to go.
Thank you. So, remind me, Confucius said, it does not stop until it is perfectly accomplished, right? Okay, any more? Please.
Thank you. I'm a retired teacher. I'm Sylvia from Metropolitan Kaohsiung. And I really agree with our speaker. There's an ethical question, right? And also, as far as a teacher is concerned, okay, we are concerned about, for example, plagiarism, ethical questions, something like that. So we really want to know how we feed the data into the system. So I think future teachers should change the model, the thinking model. For example, we should not just pay attention to the product, but the process, right? The teaching should be process oriented, okay? And the second, I think I would want to put forward the second idea. That is, what is the school for? Maybe we should build ecology, educational ecology for teachers and students. So that when teachers try to build environment, as the other day, the president of university. Sorry.
Please be.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I just want to put forward one more idea. Okay. So we build an environment for students to learn in. We using Chat GPT, we can just omit something like facts and figure teaching. We can just teach them, or maybe we can mentor them, or become a coach. We can change our roles. Sorry, I probably I'm not putting forward the question, but I just expressed my idea.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Hao? I think can we give our panelists big hands? Thank you for your expertise. Excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you, being good audience. Thank you. So, 谢谢.
Thank you, the moderator and the panelists, bring us with such an inspiration for this panel. 感谢主持人以及与谈人为这场论坛带来精彩的内容。The panel today ends, and we will have the second panel at this place tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Please return your translate headphone to the counter outside this banquet hall. 今天的议程到此结束。明天上午9点半将在这个地方同一个地点进行第2场论坛。请各位贵宾于离场时到外面的柜台归还翻译耳机。The gala dinner will begin at 6:30 p.m. in Sunrise Chinese Restaurant. For members bring dress for gala dinner, don't forget to change your dress. The Sunrise Chinese Restaurant is on the right side when you exit this banquet hall. There is a seat instruction at the entrance of Sunrise Chinese Restaurant. Please follow the instruction when you enter the gala dinner. See you at the gala dinner. 晚上6点半将于扬声厅举行欢迎晚宴。有准备晚礼服的贵宾请着装，带着快乐的心情参加欢迎晚宴。扬声厅就在这个会议厅出去直走后右手边。扬声厅的入口有座位图，请贵宾们依照座位图入座。我们晚宴见。